like nothing.
Hello, friends. This is Mike Florack with Black and Gold Happy Hour Sports Talk. Welcome to our Friday, October 31st edition, our short podcast here. You can see I'm wearing my Halloween mask. Oh, it's not a mask. Well, I would still pass for one if I went trick-or-treating today. But we're excited to talk to you today. We got a lot of things going on. Awesome time of year for sports. Pirates, Steelers, Penguins. Talk a little bit about the high school playoffs and shortly about recruiting. Joining us today, we're so happy to have Greg Brown. Greg's going to talk a little bit about the Pirates. Can you hear us, Greg?
I can hear you, Mike. Happy Halloween.
Buddy. Welcome. Hey, happy Halloween. Do you have a costume yet or what?
Oh, you can see I'm wearing mine too. Same thing.
All right. Howard's got some kind of funky glasses. Welcome to Howard Carnell here.
I only wear them so I can see.
Okay.
Hi, Greg. How you doing, buddy?
When I'm driving and wheeling, I'm going to feel comfort knowing that your vision's good. So you'll be one person who won't run me off the road. But we're happy to be here today. Like I said, it's a great time for sports. World Series is going on. What a great World Series it's been so far. Who would have thought after that 18-inning marathon where Freddie Freeman hit the walk-off grand slam that Toronto would bounce back and win 2 in L.A., and be on the verge tonight of clinching their first World Series title in over 30 years. Greg, what are your thoughts so far in this awesome World Series?
Yeah, it's been a great World Series. It's one that I'm envious of course, because it's been longer since the Pirates have been in one, and I'm anxious for that to happen someday soon. But just taking it in terms of the baseball level of play, it's been outstanding. The 18-inning affair, classic. What Shohei Ohtani is doing, you just can't believe it. It's so unreal and surreal and video game like. I've told buddies of mine recently that I have, including I was out with my buddy Steve Blass recently. I said, I have hesitated for a long time now to call him the greatest baseball player of all time, because I felt like that's almost blasphemous to Babe Ruth, but you can't deny it anymore with what he's doing. And then Yamamoto tonight. I hope Yamamoto, he's old school. It's a copycat league, all professional leagues, heck, maybe amateur level. You guys know better than I, high school ranks and so on. But I do believe that maybe this is society in general, that with success, you copy that. So it's a copycat league, certainly in baseball. And the fact that they've let Yamamoto go back-to-back 9-inning complete games out of nowhere, poof, we're back 40 years ago. I'm really hopeful, fingers crossed, that others now will follow. And I'm rooting for him tonight, though I don't know that I'm rooting for the Jays. Part of me roots for the Dodgers, because I think in order to fix the system, you almost need the Dodgers to win back-to-back, maybe back-to-back-to-back, so that not only are teams, small market teams, crying about it, but even big spenders are upset, like the Yankees, that the Dodgers were able to do what they've done. The Phillies, who were outspent and knocked out by the Dodgers. So a part of me almost roots for the Dodgers to show everyone that, hey, come on, there's no denying this system needs fixed. But I also have buddies that a real close friend of mine from Oakmont, Pennsylvania, Tony LaCava, is the assistant to the general manager of the Blue Jays. He's been a longtime baseball man, Central Catholic guy in Oakland, suburb of Pittsburgh. And, I'd love to see him get a ring.
Those are great thoughts. And you make an excellent point there, Greg, about breaking the system there if the Dodgers do win. And it does need – they have to be talking seriously about revenue sharing. Something's got to give. It's got to change for all of us smaller market people that want to see our team have a chance like they do in the NFL and the other sports.
You think so? Point. Yeah, you'd think so. But even if the Jays win, I think they're fifth in payroll. So the Dodgers are first by far. I think they've actually outspent even the Blue Jays by about 60, 70, 80 million dollars, maybe more. I don't have the numbers in front of me, but the Jays are top 10 spender. So it may not matter whether the Jays win or not. Maybe it's still, we all agree it needs fixed.
Yeah, and interesting to see the Jays are going to have to spend more money because Bichette's contract is up and a couple other people that they're going to have to pay for. So this may be a one-year deal for them. Maybe it's not, but they've made it all the way to the World Series essentially without Bo Bichette since early September. He's been injured, but their approach to the way their hitters wear pitchers out is amazing. And I can't help but feel, and I'm biased because he was one of my favorite players of all time. I can't help but feel that's Don Mattingly's influence there that is making them have all those tough at bats, and that's permeating from him on down through that lineup, and it's made it really tough for the Dodger pitchers to keep going.
That could be the case. I am maybe cynical when it comes to coaches. No disrespect to any coaches on here or watching. But especially when it comes to the professional level and Major League Baseball. Because on the contrary, Mike, I could say, well, Don Mattingly was also the hitting coach with Miami Marlins. So what made, I mean, the Blue Jays, and I saw their hitting coach, was interviewed recently about the approach. And we battle. Well, the Pirates have the same approach.
Right.
But they just don't have Vladimir Guerrero and Bo Bichette in their lineup.
Sure.
So I always, for whatever reason, just for me, and maybe it's the influence that I've had over the years of working with so many great former players, and I think some of that seeps through with me when it comes to their philosophy regarding hitting coaches, pitching coaches, again at the major league level. Man, they got to this place, the major leagues, on their way up because they were great players. And I think maybe coaches can certainly help, no doubt about that. But I don't know how much major influence they have on these guys. I guess we'll never know the answer to that.
Yeah, I think it was the game. I can't remember which game they scored a lot of runs in. They had a big rally. They scored like eight runs in one inning, and I think that it was Smoltz or somebody said that I believe they had 8 at bats that inning that went to 2 strikes and none of them struck out. Which is just, that's unheard of in today's game.
Right?
Yeah, and it's they're doing something really right in Toronto because, again, Greg, we've talked about it. There they go, worst to first. It can happen, so we'll keep our fingers crossed and keep saying our prayers and get out the old green weenies from Bob Prince days and keep shaking them and we're hoping for good mojo.
Yeah, I'm anxious for Monday. Monday will be the end of the World Series, regardless. So it either goes 7. Of course, Game 6 tonight. Game 7 would be tomorrow, and then you've got Sunday, if NFL Sunday. But then you've got Monday, and then it all begins because I don't know if people are aware of this or not, but baseball basically puts a kibosh on all of its teams. You can do no transactions during the playoffs and World Series. Right. No players can change hands. You can't sign free agents. But after the World Series ends, then the flurry of activity begins. For years, the Pirates have waited until, much of the major activity has taken place. And even into late January, February, spring training report, they can't do that. Ben Cherington can't do that this year. Can't afford to. So changes have to be made. He and the Pirates are on the clock. And so for the first time in a long time, I'm really actually anxious to watch what happens right after the World Series. I want to see them get to work, get going, and make moves almost immediately.
I'm glad and excited to hear you say that because like we talked about, and you and I are kind of dissenting voices compared to the overwhelming majority of the public thinks that Bob Nutting never spent any money and all that kind of stuff. But when they had a chance, he spent.
You promised me we can do an hour, 2-hour long show on it and I'm serious because I said, I've got a PhD in Pirate baseball ownership.
You sure do.
I'm old enough to have been through 5 different owners, going back to the Galbraith family. I just had this long debate at a brand new cigar bar that I went to the other night in Pittsburgh. It is fabulous. It's unbelievable. But the manager of that cigar bar and I and a buddy of mine, Dan Zangrilli, who does pre and post game shows on the radio side, the three of us sat down for a couple of hours. And this guy's a great guy, but he started out by dismissing Bob Nutting and same old routine. And when we chatted, we discussed, and it's a fascinating topic of discussion. But yeah, I've been a Bob Nutting defender. I will continue to be, because I know him and I know baseball ownership and I know Pirate ownership. And under the circumstances, he's doing what he can as best he can to win. And he has now put the onus on Ben Cherington, whether you like it or not. He's giving Ben Cherington another opportunity to try and fix this thing, and so Ben knows it. Ben's on the clock.
Yeah, those are great thoughts, man. Really appreciate it. By the way, talking about free agent hitters, what would Roy Hobbs do for this team? We're coming to you from Terry Pine Studios. This is Dan's basement here, and Dan is Mr. New York Knights, Mr. Robert Redford, Mr. Roy Hobbs. So that's, in case you're wondering or our viewers are wondering, all the New York Knights memorabilia belongs to Dan, because that's his favorite movie of all time and his favorite player of all time.
Well, I've got to get down there and see that, because I have a slight connection to the New York Knights in that I was a broadcaster up in Buffalo for 5 years, the Buffalo Bisons. They opened up then called Pilot Field in 1988. I started in 1989 in Buffalo at Pilot Field, but the previous longtime venue for that minor league baseball team, and it is a historic baseball team in Buffalo, was Old War Memorial Stadium. They called it the Rock Pile. And that movie, The Natural, was filmed in Buffalo at the Rock Pile. And so many of my friends to this day who were part of the Buffalo organization actually had bit parts in that movie. Every time I see it, in fact, I was just up there a month ago visiting people, and a couple of the guys that were in that movie were there, and I talked to them again about it, and we talked about what great people Robert Redford and Glenn Close were, and so that's there's Wonder Boy, huh?
Yeah, Dan pulled this off the wall here. So
wow.
Bobby, what was Bobby's last name? How can I forget? What was Bobby's last name?
How can I forget it?
Savoy.
Yeah.
Savoy.
Yeah.
But
pick me out a winner, Bobby.
Yeah, pick me out a winner, Bobby. So Dan's got the winner on his wall. But we talked about hitters and change and that kind of thing, and you talked about the Dodgers wanting a starter to go back-to-back 9 innings. And also, we saw Toronto stick with Savage a little bit longer the other night, and it worked out. The metrics would tell you get him out of there, but they stuck with him for an extra inning, and he was on fire. He was throwing a great game and stuck with him for an extra inning, and that was really, to me, what slammed the door shut. And now the Pirates, and you and I have talked about this before, Howard, Greg, we've talked about this. Do the analytics get in the way, and how are things going to change? We saw Don Kelly bring in a couple old school, Gene Lamont, some old school staff guys. Now the Pirates hire Bill Murphy from the Astros. Greg, what do you know about Bill Murphy? He's been 10 years in the Astros system, one of the better pitching staffs in baseball for a long time. What do you think we can look for from Bill Murphy?
I really don't know, other than what I've read. I don't know him. I don't even know what influence Don Kelly had. Don Kelly spent some time in the Astros organization as a first base coach, but I don't think Murph was there at the time he was in their minor leagues. But, he's got the track record. He's got the resume. I don't know that there's much difference, at least on the surface, from what I can gather, in terms of philosophies between him and the Pirates' former pitching coach, Oscar Marin. Very analytics driven. Oscar came in with a great reputation. The difference was Oscar did not have major league experience when he came to the Pirates, and now Murphy does, a kind of, you could say, a proven track record as an assistant to the pitching coach there in Houston. So I don't know. It's good. It's one of those wait and see things. I don't know what happened with Oscar Marine. Sometimes you feel like you know exactly what's going on in the inner workings of an organization, knowing the players, knowing the personnel, being in that clubhouse, being around them all, and then you're kind of blindsided that they let him go after years of success. Every year under him, the ERA had dropped. Going back to the point about coaches. Now it's interesting that if you look at the pitchers the Pirates have brought in. They've been really good pitchers, led, of course, the last 2 years by the best pitcher on the planet in Paul Skeens. So I don't know. We'll just have to kind of wait and see when it comes to Murphy.
Yeah,
Greg, let me ask you a quick question
Howard.
then. If you could, as Murphy comes into the role, maybe suggest one tweak, or is there some kind of tweak? If he comes into this role, would there be something that you see could be a beneficial tweak to a strong staff?
I'm an amateur when it comes to that, so it wouldn't even be fair for me. Just as I guess, put the fan hat on me.
Mm-hmm.
Go back to, heck, we just talked about it, Howard and Mike, about Yamamoto and about Savage.
Right.
Let your eyes tell the story. Don't be so analytics driven. We all feel it. We know, again, as a fan in me, it does not take a genius. If you're watching the game on TV, listening on the radio, or there in the seats or in the press box, when a pitcher for the Pirates or a pitcher for the opponent is dealing, and because it's the third time through the order, get them out. And when that manager, be it Pirate manager or opposing team manager, comes out of that dugout, the opposing bench breathes a sigh of relief. Thank goodness this starter is out of the game. Let's go after this reliever. Man, I hope maybe if that one thing, that would be it. I know that Ben Cherington, on one of his radio shows toward the end of the season, we talked to him about how to get better. And one of the things he mentioned was, and maybe I shouldn't have been so surprised about the move of Oscar Marine, but he mentioned the pitching. Everybody they got to score more runs, which they do, tighten up the defense, better base running. But he said the pitching can get better. Now, what is it that they saw in this staff, and what is it that they see in Murphy that says they can go from fifth in the league to higher?
Yeah.
The Pirates were fifth in ERA. Might it be philosophy-wise? I don't know. Might it be a stronger bullpen that they have in mind, that they can do different looks out of that bullpen? Of course, this comes now with adding people. I think that they get great talent within the organization. So maybe they see something that Houston does with their metrics combined with what they see, the eye test, that says, this is what we need to employ. Not only letting the starters go longer. I'll have to look into that, Howard. That'd be very interesting. Do the Astros average more innings from their starters than most teams? That would be very curious to see. That philosophy would come in, and the Pirates might again adapt to that. And then we talk about copycat league. Maybe that's what they're looking for.
Yeah, those are great points, man. Thank you so much. As usual, we so much appreciate your insight and having you with us. Always a great time to talk with you. I know you've got some things. You got a couple places you're going to this afternoon, and you have your trick-or-treating to do. And I'm just asking you, please, if you run across any extra Kit Kats, please save them for the next time I see you, because my son already told me I'm getting nothing from him. So Isaac said, no Kit Kats for you. So you run across a couple, I'd appreciate it.
Well, they're not going to make it past me.
Well, I'd settle for a Reese cup or something, or whatever somebody has. But anyway, always great to be with you, my friend. We really appreciate it, and we'll talk to you again soon.
I look forward to being back on Black and Gold real soon.
All right, great. Thanks, Greg.
Yeah.
All right,
Thank you, guys.
Weekend, buddy.
Thank you. Yeah, happy Halloween.
Same to you. Thank you. Well, always great to get Greg's thoughts, man. He's just what a force for positivity when it comes to the Pirates. Unbelievable, just how he keeps going. And we're all Pirate fans. We hope that the Pirates are going to do great. But part of the reason is, because we're fans of the team and that kind of thing, and we want our team to win. But part of me just wants to see him and Steve Blass be able to celebrate. Just to see that one time, to see that go on would be so awesome. But at least the Pirates are addressing their needs, are making changes. As Greg said, I really hope that they do. For lack of a better term, swing the bats on Monday and step up to the plate and take a few rips to get a couple guys in there who can make a difference in that lineup, Howard.
Mike, one of the things that next time we get with Greg, I want to talk to him.
Sure.
He was hitting on it there, the nuances of baseball versus straight analytics, and we were focused on pitching. But one of the things I think it's been lost, and I've seen a couple times in the playoffs, is the sacrifice bunt, moving the runner over.
Yeah.
I saw one game where it was a perfectly executed run and hit. And I just don't see that enough anymore.
Right.
And I think that needs to trickle into a mentality for a team such as the Pirates. They've got to start manufacturing runs if they know they're not a great hitting team. And I thought many times during the year, they didn't take advantage of the bunt that got a second, see what happens. Some of the other opportunities to hit and run, that type of thing. And
I agree.
I want to ask him more about that moving forward, is getting back to, I'd like to call it old Pirate baseball, right? When Jay Bell laid down 40 sacrifice bunts a year.
Yeah, I agree. And, philosophically, from a coach's standpoint, I always felt you needed to be, if you're going to make a run at a championship, you need to be well-versed in all facets of the game, because you're going to run into a game where there's just a situation that calls for a bunt and to defend the bunt. You're going to need to steal a base here and there. You need to cover all of that stuff and be as capable as possible. That being said, there are times when I first started, at Youngstown State, for example, I was coming off a year where I was at Waynesburg and we had the top hitting team in the country. Our team batting average was 382. Now, we didn't have quite, comparatively speaking, the athleticism at the Division I level that, I had a bunch of big, strong athletes at Waynesburg. Not that they weren't better athletes, they just weren't the same type.
Right.
And we had to institute some small ball system. Plus, we started to play in a huge park that was 405, I think 380, 375 in the alleys, 330 down the lines. It's a big, big park with the cold and the wind up in Northeast Ohio. We had to play small ball a little bit, and I thought it was a facet of the game you have to defend. And I wanted to – the thing that alarms me, but back to the Pirates, the thing that alarms me, like you said, let's see some more small ball. But also, it just seemed – I don't have any numbers back to something. It seemed like they took so many called strike threes. And to me, that's the cardinal sin in baseball. And that's why I wanted to see if Greg would kind of, bite on that and extrapolate a little bit about my point about the 8 hitters that went to the plate for Toronto in the one big inning that they had a couple games ago that fought with 2 strikes. And I just saw so many times O'Neill Cruz, even Brian Reynolds was taking a lot of backward Ks. And that just deflates you. I don't care. I don't care if there's a runner on third and less than 2 out, or if you're, hitting with no one on base. Taking backward Ks, it just absolutely deflates you. And it's really not that hard. If you work on it and get the hitters to buy into it, then all you have to do, widen out, shorten up, choke up on the bat, throw the bat at the ball.
A little bit of contact.
Really not that hard. You sit fast and adjust from there.
Yep.
But I mean, those are things that we'll see if Don Kelly continues to try to implement as we move forward. But it's always fun to talk about the Pirates. And now, unfortunately, we've got to try to stay positive about the Steelers. And I don't know if you saw the second half meltdown, but it was troublesome. There's no question about it. For the second week in a row, the Steelers defense just played terrible, and it was the just not being able to stop the pass, no pressure. I know that I heard Chris Hoke yesterday talking about the amount of time that was unbelievable that Green Bay was getting rid of the ball in like 2.5 seconds or something like that. Just unheard of times. And it doesn't seem like they made those adjustments because I think Green Bay had a little bit better of the play in the first half, but the Steelers were still ahead on the scoreboard and comfortably ahead. And it was one of those things, thank God again for Chris Boswell, because who knows how many over these last few years, how many more games the Steelers might have lost were it not for Chris Boswell. And they had that lead because he is so automatic and just unbelievable. But I'm very concerned about that defense, and they're not stopping the run up the middle. And I thought it was a performance that left a lot to be desired. Now they've got an even tougher game, I think, that's going to be against the Colts. And the Colts have many weapons. They have good wide receivers. They got Tyler Warren. They have a good running game.
Right.
What do you see this game turning into, Howard?
I'm really interested to see how they approach it going up against the Colts offense. What is going to be the thought process of who do we take away? Right? Do we just sell everything out to stop Jonathan Taylor?
Right.
And go back into that, hey, if Daniel Jones can beat us, let him beat us because he never has before. Well, Daniel Jones has beaten people this year.
Sure.
So, right, he's played the way they expected him to play when he came out of college. But do you sell all out, knowing that you haven't been stopping the run, to stop Jonathan Taylor? Because what happens if that Jonathan Taylor wagon gets rolling and you're on the backside of 150, 170 yards?
That's a bad look.
That game.
That's demoralizing. Yeah.
Right.
If you can't win at the line of scrimmage,
Yep.
you're totally demoralized. And you've got Cam Hayward as the kind of leader of the team, and that's his unit right there. That they're attacking the front lines right there, not being able to stop the run with the linebacking core. And I just think that if the Steelers continue with this, the way the defense is set up, they're not going to go anywhere. They're going to have trouble winning 7 or 8 games this year because it's a copycat league, as Greg was talking about, copycats and coaches and that kind of thing. And they're going to see these quick patterns and getting rid of the ball quick as a way to beat the rush that the Steelers have. They're going to have to make some adjustments. I don't know if they want to feature much more press coverage, and to me in the beginning, what I've seen in these last 2 games against the Bengals and Green Bay is that they were blitzing early on and it was effective. And then they got away from it, like 6 or 7 men rushes, and then they got away from it for some reason and didn't really do it again. Yeah. So I'm just not sure about where the play calling is coming from. And the radio shows for me to talk about Mike Tomlin. We're trying to stay happy here.
Yeah.
But God bless it. Let's make some changes and get after it and let these guys play their potential.
I haven't seen anything. My question in my mind is, has subtracting Minkah Fitzpatrick from the defensive side of the ball, has that sort of had a ripple through the entirety of the defense, do you think? Do you think he was that key of an individual performer that they were able to do more things? It'd be interesting to see what some of the guys that watch it on a day in, day out basis think about that.
It's a fair question.
I was a big fan.
I love Minkah. I thought he was. I thought he had the potential to be a generational talent because, he comes into the league right away, makes the Pro Bowl. He's 21 years old, and we lost Howard there.
Yeah,
but he's 21. We'll get you back here, Howard. But there he is. But Minkah was 21 years old and made the Pro Bowl. And I thought he had the potential to be just almost effective as Troy Polamalu. I thought he was on that trajectory, and then just Some of the things he did, the big plays that he made, some of the returns. He's a really good tackler. He's got size. He's got some moxie back there. But I don't know what happened. It seemed like he kept getting further and further away from the line of scrimmage, and that's not where he often made his difference with his tackling capabilities, the way he was able to read against the run. And it's a fair question, though, but they were getting pounded last year on the ground again. So this has been a problem that's been going on for a while. And I don't know how much Minkus had to do with that. To me, it's all in their approach and their schemes. Have to put more guys up on the line of scrimmage, have to sell out, do some run blitzes. But I'm very concerned. And the other thing is, I feel so bad for TJ Watt having to line up on that left end every single time, with the exception of maybe 2 or 3 snaps the whole game, because that's easy pickings. You're coming off the edge like that, and a guy chips you and the tackles on you, and there's probably another guy looking to see who's coming off the edge or whatever. TJ's just not being put in position to be successful. That's my opinion. So hopefully we'll make some adjustments and move forward and have a better showing. I know they did, which rarely happens, have the veterans practice defensively on Wednesday.
I was in the middle of a
Hayward
podcast, but I think it dropped me.
Yeah. No, you were still on.
Okay, no, I'm gonna have him come back in.
Okay, so Howard's going to come back in, but I think that they've got to put their players in better opportunities to be successful. And that right now, that's a problem that I think has been going on for a while. There's questions about who is really running the defense. Is it Terrell Austin? Is it Mike Tomlin? And I know a couple of guys on the fan were talking about earlier this week that when they had Keith Butler, the former defensive coordinator, on their show, they said, "Keith, what was your biggest regret?" And he said it was, "I never got to call a defense." So,
hey, I'm back with you now, Mike.
Yeah, but anyway, we hope for a better showing with the Steelers. It's going to be a tough one against the Colts. They're having a really good year so far. But let's move on to the most positive news of all. Those 8-2-2 Penguins.
Wow.
I can't wait to get Borky on here because, when we were talking a little bit about the Penguins in our first couple podcasts, even Butchie and we were out there saying, well, this is going to be a rough year. If you saw Borky, he was kind of holding his cards close. I don't know if I want to play poker with the old 2-9.
Yeah, right.
Because he didn't say too much. I think there was a hint of optimism in the back of his mind there that he held. And boy, they are off to just an incredible start. Last night, fantastic performance. Tristan Jarry with the win again, 4-1. The Penguins controlled the play after the first period. Big goal from Ryan Shea to tie it up early in the second period. And from there on out, they just steamrolled the Wild. And the Wild are a good team who is on a little bit of a downturn right now. I think they've gone winless in their previous 7 games.
Right.
But they're very talented. They had a good year last year, largely the same roster, and the Penguins just took it to them like it was their job. And I was just so happy with seeing some of the Ben Kendall with a big goal. Some of the performances. Ryan Shea is establishing himself as a quality defender. Wotherspoon, where's this guy? He's been an NHL journeyman. Found his footing here, playing awesome with the Penguins at age 28, I believe he is. And, boy, Dan Muse, he's got these guys going. Malkin's playing awesome. Sidney Crosby has, I think now is at 15 points in 12 games. He's just off to a tremendous start. They look fresh. They look they look like they're on task, on point. There's not a lot of skating around. The passes are crisp and sharp offensively. Defensively, they're getting the puck out of the zone quicker, and I don't see a lot of those. One of the things that, and you're much more of a hockey strategist than I, but I saw it seemed like when under Sully, they were trying to make a lot of short passes to get out of the zone and maintain possession. Now it's like one pass and out of the zone.
Yep.
I'm not sure what the X's and O's are on that. But, boy, do they look sharp, and it's really encouraging.
Yeah, I wasn't able to watch the game last night.
Right.
I had the fortunate pleasure of seeing Robert Plant in Saving Grace
Wow.
at the
How
Capitol
was that?
Theater
Let's
in
talk
Wheeling,
about
West
that for a
Virginia.
second.
It
You're
was
not going to get me off
fantastic.
that topic.
What a
How
great
was
night, though.
I
I got
bet.
to see that concert, and then I got to find out that the Penguins played a great game and won 4-1. You mentioned the record, 8-2-2, 18 points, most points in the NHL.
Who would have thought that?
Would we have thought that?
No way.
Points in 8 straight games.
Yeah.
And what is it? Hey, again, I'll go back to I'm a big Mike Sullivan fan.
Me
But
too.
in watching what I have seen with a new coach in Dan Muse, I'm going to throw out the word freer. Everybody just seems to be freer. And the first and foremost person freer is Tristan Jarry,
Yes.
not only between the pipes, but between the ears. He just seems to be the more relaxed, talented goalie that he was a few years ago and wasn't the last couple of years and is now again. He just seems to be more relaxed, more comfortable in his skin, and more comfortable between the pipes. And the rest of the team, I think, is feeding off that. They're freer. And then the other thing is, it's always great to infuse a team with a couple of young bucks who don't know what they don't know,
Correct.
and Brunick and Kindle,
Yes.
and they're jumping right on board. And
Yes.
remember, we're still missing a young man that we were counting on as one of our wingers. He hasn't even played yet because of injury. And
McGroarty.
Rutger McGroarty, right?
Yeah.
So, and I wrote a note down, Mike, just remember this, guys. Kindle's with us for the rest of the year because last night was his 10th game.
Yeah.
He's not eligible to go to the AHL. He was only eligible to be assigned to his juniors team. But after 10 games, that assignment is not an option anymore. So he's here to stay. And
where does Brunick fall on that?
I don't think he's played his 10th game now because I think he was scratched one more game or potentially two games. So I think we're still a game or two away. However, I think I'd keep them both. And everything I've read from Josh Yeo with the Athletic, he thinks the same thing. One of the things that I want to throw out, and looking at Kindle, I wrote a couple notes. He's got 3 goals. He's playing key minutes, including on the power play.
Yes.
Oftentimes the first power play.
Yes.
And late in games, the coach has the confidence in him to throw him out for face-offs, even in his own defensive zone.
Yeah.
That is an incredible compliment to a young man.
Yeah.
If he continues at this path and stays healthy, I want to throw a question out to you. Is it too early to start to talk about Kindle as one of the Calder Cup finalists?
No, not at all. I mean, just the way he's played, and it seems like if you see the body language of the veteran players, like they really like him. They like the way that he plays. They like his effort. He seems like he's a pretty humble guy. And you mentioned the word freer, and that's a great word to say. They're also doing these last couple games without Ricard Raquel, who that's going to hurt them because he's a good player and he can put the puck in the back of the net. So they're going to have to make up for some of that while he's out with that broken hand. But also
remember, McGroarty's still out there. So
and he'll help too when he returns. Yep. But one guy who has, by everybody who's watching, all concerned opinions, is who's played and turned his game around is Erik Karlsson. He was strong last night again.
Good.
And there's something that just didn't mesh there with him in the old regime, because at 35 or so, with the being as great a skater as he is, he's not going to age. Like, he's still got some left in the tank, and he's played awesome. And there's just a number of guys there that I think are all on the same page, it looks like. And now I don't get that sinking feeling. They were up 3-1 last night going into the latter stages of the third period. And I didn't have that feeling like, okay, where's the next 2 goals coming from Minnesota?
Right. And that was always the thing.
Yeah.
We're up 2 in the third. Okay, we're gonna give up 2 and lose in overtime. And what I read about the third period last night was, again, I'll reference Josh Yo. He said that may have been the closest thing to a perfect period that the Penguins have played.
Incredible.
And we never played a good third period.
No,
in
they
the
were
last couple of years.
they were unbelievable.
Yep.
I mean, you could see the frustration on the faces of Minnesota's players, and the Penguins spent the majority of time on their toes. And we can't give enough props to that fourth line too, with Achari and Lazat and some of those guys, because they control the puck in the offensive zone, and they've done a great job killing time and making that offensive philosophy of playing on your toes. They made that come to life as much as anybody has. So everybody's on the same page right now. And who would have thought this? This is just great for the Penguins. It's great for our area. So,
Mike, I really like the fourth line. Key guy so far, and I hope he stays healthy, is Connor Dewar. He's really been important. Great penalty killer. He's doing a great job on the penalty kill. I really like that fourth line.
Yeah, and Borky pointed out that he's like 5th on the team in goals since he joined the team.
It's great.
I mean, that's a crazy number because he hasn't seen that much ice time. And another thing that Dan Muse and his guys have done is they've leveled the ice out as far as the playing time.
Right.
When you see the time on the ice, it's much more even than it was under Sully. And maybe that was a little bit of a factor that some of those guys weren't quite as fresh in the end of the games. And we'll never know. But all the buttons that Dan Muse and his staff are pushing right now are the right ones. Yeah. So we hope they keep it up and follow the Penguins. They're going good. You are, speaking of the Penguins, you are coming to us from the home of some of the future Penguins, and tell us what's going on there with the Nailers.
Yeah, for sure. I'm in West Banco Arena, the home of the Pittsburgh Penguins East Coast Hockey League affiliate, the Wheeling Nailers. I'm sitting in front of the trophy case with some jerseys of former Nailers players, and 2 of them are Casey DeSmith behind me and Carter Rowney behind me.
Yeah.
Thomas Kuhn-Ockel, his sweater as well is hanging here. And tomorrow starts the opening night of the home stretch of the home series for the Nailers. They're 2-1 right now. All 3 games have been on the road, but they have a 2-game series this weekend, Saturday and Sunday, against the Norfolk Admirals. They start here tomorrow night at 7:20. I get into the arena on occasion and watch them practice a little bit. We've got a new coach, great all-time winningest coach, Derek Army, was promoted up to another organization in the American Hockey League. They brought in a gentleman, Ryan Papawanow, and it came in from the Calgary area, known for player development, which is going to be key moving forward now that the Penguins have really accumulated a significant number of draft picks. This year they had 13 draft picks. Next year, I believe they have 11, 12, 13.
Yeah, I think it's the next 3 years. They have first, second, and third in all 3 of those years, and then either a 2 seconds or 2 thirds or something like that. So you got to give it to they were calling him the boy wonder, but you got to give it to Kyle Dubas, the general manager, because he's identified some of this. And take Kendall, for example. Kendall, it was like unanimously thought that Kendall going at number 11 was a reach. That there were a lot of draft experts that were saying he should have barely been in the first round, that kind of stuff. You know why? Because the measurables aren't there.
Right.
He's not that fast. He's not that big, but God darn, can he play?
Kid can play hockey.
He can play hockey, and that's the bottom line. So you got to give Dubas and Clark their props for thoroughly examining everybody in that draft that they thought they could take in those 3 picks, and they got some size with a couple other big wingers on the back end of that first round with the other 2 picks.
Right.
So other than the now the Jari continues to play like he has been, that Jari contract's going to look a lot better.
Right.
And then the only other contract that's not going to look good is the defenseman whose name's
Ryan Graves.
Graves, yeah. I was going to say Adam. I always want to call him Adam because Adam Graves. Adam Graves was the villain that slashed Lemieux and broke his hand in the playoffs back in 91 or 2. But
he's playing in Wilkes right now. He's in Wilkes-Barre. It's interesting to see how deep the system is now. And again, I get it. When you're winning, you're trading assets or picks to get other proven players to make deep runs into the playoffs. And there were many years the Penguins went without a significant number of picks in their draft. But now they're stocking it. You take a look at the opening day roster in Wheeling. There was 1 player here under an NHL contract and 9 players on the roster with AHL contracts. So that's how deep the system is getting. And that's obviously what Kyle Dubas was charged with to do, is get this system strong and deep. And there are goalies, right? Miroshov is not here in Wheeling anymore, and he's doing a great job in Wilkes. He's 5-1, 1.68 goals against average, .935 save percentage.
Man.
And there are other kids in the system. We've got 4 goalies here, 2 that are hurt, and so he's refilled the closets. That's for sure.
Is there any chance with he's proving it? He's done nothing but prove it since we've had eyes on him. Do you think there's any chance that Miroshov winds up being the Penguins goalie by the end of the year?
Yes, there is a chance, of course. You can never foresee injuries and that type of thing.
Right.
I think the true goal is to have him simmer at AHL and get more experience and more confidence. But again, what if somebody comes knocking and says, hey, we want Jari now. We think he is who he used to be. We think he can make us.
Or how about Sheila? How about Sheilov?
Right?
Because he's a proven solid NHL goalie.
I agree. I like our goaltender room right now. However, are you at the point where you've seen enough games? Remember, Miroshov this year has only played 6 games up to this point.
Sure.
Does he have enough high-level games to go there? I think he will play an NHL game or 2 at the end of the year or so. Do I think he'll be the guy by the end of the year? Probably not. But I do tell you this, if he stays healthy and continues on this sort of trajectory, he's going into next year as the favorite. And whether that's him with Jari or him with Sheilov, I'm good either way. I got to tell you, I've watched a lot of games in Wheeling. I love this kid. He's so quick. He's so athletic. And he's a right-handed glove, which I love.
Yeah, it's different. It's a different look, that's for sure.
Right. Yep.
So is there anybody else that's I would love to see. I can't wait to see Miroshov, and because everyone's just raving about him. Is there anybody else that's standing out right now in Wheeling? And we want to encourage our viewers, go down and support the Nailers. It's a great time.
Yep.
Like we said, we talk about all sports as much as we can in the time that we have in the tri-state area, and the Nailers is really a great family value entertainment proposition. But is there anybody else there that you would see who could make a mark on a Penguins roster someday, Howard?
It's early for me to tell. There are some kids on here that I don't know yet. There's one that I'm going to watch a little bit and see. I'm not quite sure what type of player he's going to turn out to be. His name is Zach Erdahl. I've been watching him, and man, that kid can skate.
Yes.
My gosh.
I've seen some reports on him. Yeah, that's great. Well, we'll look forward to following those guys. And like I said, go down and support the Nailers. It's really big for our tri-state area have minor league hockey there. They're
Come down and
always
see us here at the arena. 7:20 tomorrow is the start time, and then 4:10 on Sunday is the start time, both with the Norfolk Admirals. So
great. Yeah,
you never know. You could come down here and see a name that ends up in Pittsburgh, like DeSmith or Rowney or Kuhnhackl, or in long gone days gone by, Bissonnette. You just never know who you're going to see as a future Penguin. So
sure. Yeah, that's great. And we always want to support the local sports. Somehow if we don't support them ourselves, that chances are they could go away. So we'll always want to do that. And speaking of local sports, I want to shift gears a little bit now.
Sure.
To the high school playoffs. There's two big games up here tonight in the Steubenville area. The first one is Indian Creek, who's 9-1 going against Johnstown Monroe. Indian Creek's had a number of good seasons under Andrew Connor now, back to back. He's run, some really good teams out there. I hope that this year could be the time that they can make a big run in the playoffs. He also has a number of those, several of his kids who are baseball players who are on those two great Indian Creek baseball teams coached by Mike and Randy Cottis, my old buddies, who they know how to win. They made, a run to the state semifinals in Akron a couple years ago. This last year, they went to the regionals in Athens, the home of the Ohio University, and they have some kids that know how to win, and Coach Connor knows how to win. So go out and support them tonight. Tonight's going to be an awesome night for football. It's supposed to be clear, little crisp, but that's what you want for football. And also on this edge of town, my alma mater, the Catholic Central Crusaders of Steubenville, are taking on Danville. We don't know much about Danville. We haven't seen them recently. We do know that they were a regional finalist last year. They graduated a lot of players, but according to Coach Meek, he has a ton of respect for the Danville program and the great job that they do year in and year out. And they have a young team, but they're tough. And this is going to be a tough ball game for Central. They go in as the 6th seed, and Danville not far behind them. So this is going to be at the least a very even matchup. So come on out. It's going to be a great night for high school football. Please support these two local teams. And, of course, Big Red Lion in the wings, a number of other local teams. St. Clairsville's in. Howard, what's going on down in Wheeling with a couple of teams there?
One more week.
One more week.
West
Who's
Virginia's
shaping up to
behind.
look like they're going to be have a good position? How's Central looking at this point?
Yeah, Central's waiting to see, because remember, I believe their season's done because they only had an 8-game schedule.
That's right.
So that's going to affect their seeding a little bit, I think, just for a lack of points.
They're always ready.
Games.
Yeah,
but
they're
playing well. They've got a really nice team, good running back, good quarterback. So we just have to see where they end up. Hopefully they'll be able to land a first-round home game. And then Park still has a game, with John Marshall, rival from Marshall County. So we'll wait and see what happens with that first.
Yeah, and we'll continue to follow the local teams. Very important. Our next show, we're going to feature, and we haven't set a date yet for our next show, but we'll also incorporate a little bit more of the football playoffs and those kind of things. But we also had a big hit on the last show with the unified sports program that is being largely implemented around the valley here by Indian Creek, is kind of taking the charge there, Tom Teak Mort. So we'll have some features on those sports and those athletes. That's a great story that those kids get to compete and feel all the same joys that the kids that they're going through school with feel as they're going through their playoffs and those kind of things. Do want to have you stick around for a couple more minutes, Howard, and I'm going to finish up on recruiting. And I'd love to hear your thoughts about this, because you have four grown children now, and they participated in sports and everything. And of course, Caleb was on the West Virginia club hockey team, had an awesome experience with that. And I've had 2 calls in the past week about young people and their families. They're fathers, mothers, not knowing what to do when college coaches aren't calling them often. Now, here's the reality. This is what stinks. They're probably not really interested. If they're not really calling you, every couple of weeks and that kind of stuff, having you down for visits, if you've already been to the campus, staying up with you, sending you emails, text messages, they're probably not super interested right now. And that's not the end of the game. But in the meantime, you've got to think about, as a recruit and as a parent, where do I want my daughter or my son to be by the time June rolls around? You know what I want? I want them to be committed and set on a place that they're going to be happy, where they're going to receive an education and get to play 4 or 5 years of the sport that they love and spend so much time training for. And if the coach where you go, where your number one choice is, they're not calling you back, you got to go look for another place. And you know what? It's just reality. And here's one thing that can happen. And I hate to say this. I can't believe this is coming out of my mouth, because 10 years ago, I would have punched myself in the mouth. We know a guy who does that.
We know a guy who
ran
does
the
that
football
anyway.
game. But I would have punched myself in the mouth if I would have heard myself saying this, because I've always been huge on loyalty. I've always been huge on your word is your word. I tell my son, whatever you do, don't be the kind of person. You got to be the kind of person who doesn't let his mouth write checks that your butt can't cash. That means if you say something, mean it, do it, unless there's some unforeseeable circumstance that comes out. And then you've got to be able to, go back and apologize and say, here's the reason it didn't work out. But now the way this game is played in recruiting, verbal commitments don't really mean anything.
Right.
On either end.
Either side.
On either side. Because coaches can come back and say, hey, look, we got a transfer coming in that we think is going to be our shooting guard, and we think he's going to average 18 points a game. You're only a freshman. We're sorry, but we have to pull your scholarship right now. So you have to find another place to go. Conversely, the recruits can say, I've made a verbal to you, but someone else has come along with a more shiny toy, and that's the one that I want to play with. And that's just how this game is played now. It's awful. It stinks, but it's the world that we live in. And what I want to suggest, and I want to hear your thoughts on this, Howard, find another place that you can go to. The one travel baseball program that I work with, we just had a kid who's a really good player, and everybody in our program thought he was Division I, but he went to a couple showcases and just didn't really perform greatly, which is a whole nother topic, because they're fall showcases, and you got to be in tip-top shape if you want to perform in front of coaches while they're evaluating you. Right. And that doesn't happen in the off season often, so people have to be mindful of that. But anyway, this kid had his heart set on going to a Division I school, went to their prospect camp, and he just didn't do as well as he'd hoped. So a couple of weeks later, he had a Division II offer on the table and committed to that Division II school. And that's the way you have to play it, unfortunately. If a school that you want to go to is not calling it, or not being responsive, you don't do so hot in their camp, you got to start looking somewhere else. And then what can happen is maybe you have a big senior year, they have some attrition on their roster, and it comes back around again. That can happen. Recruiting changes every day. It changes every single day. What could also happen is you could go to that Division II school, and I hate saying this, you could use that as a springboard to go back to Division I. And I'll take it into the baseball realm, because what a lot of coaches want right now, they don't want a fresh out of high school guy that they have to plug into hitting them in the middle of their order, at the top of their order, somewhere like that. They'd much rather have a guy who's got 300 or 400 college stats and plug him in with no penalty at all. Right. And that's the way it goes. It stinks, but that's the way the game is played. I mean, what are your thoughts? Tell us maybe a little bit about Caleb's experience.
Yeah.
And what you want.
Here's what I would suggest to parents. Wherever your child ends up landing and leveling out at that level to play as an athlete, that's not an indictment on you. Right. As a matter of fact, it's not a statement on you at all.
It's a great point.
It's your child. Let your child live his or her life at the appropriate level that they can compete. All kids want to do is play and succeed. All parents, what happens a lot of times is parents look at it as my kid has to be a Division I player. My kid has to be on the D1 club team at WVU. No, one of the things that I always did is I was always honest with my kids at what level could they compete and play. My son Michael played 2 years of college lacrosse at Alderson Broaddus. That was the right level for him to compete.